1852, the question is asked, why was Utah a slave territory? In the research that we've done, we find that Brother Brigham was trying to accommodate the Southern saints, those who had now come into the territory. President Young visited the Utah Territorial Legislature in 1852 and gave a rather impassioned speech in which he spoke ill of the descendants of Ham, and as a result of his words, legislation was passed by that legislative body in 1852 authorizing the slavery of blacks in the territory of Utah. In the California Compromise, where California came into the nation as a free state, there was a great debate in the nation because slavery was such a hot topic. And there were those who were in favor of slavery and those who were opposed. And so the compromise was California could come into the Union free, but then Utah territory and New Mexico territory were given the option of being either free or slave. New Mexico opted for free. Utah opted for slave. 1852, an act in relation to service. 1852, same year, Elder Orson Pratt reasons that since our place in the afterlife is dependent upon our actions here, then our placement on earth must reflect our actions in the pre-existence. It's his supposition. Because the Doctrine and Covenant says that a terrestrial glory is for those who are, quote, are not valiant in their testimony of Jesus, close quote, in this life, Elder Pratt speculates that spirits who were born black must have been, quote, less valiant, close quote, in the war in heaven. Now, here I'm stepping away from the linear chronological scale, and we're going to jump forward. Two works published by Orson Pratt are found to advance, quote, incorrect and unsound doctrine. The First Presidency and the Quorum of the 12 correct Orson's false teaching with a public reprimand published in the Millennial Star, and there's the citation dated October 21, 1865. The Logic of the Brethren, the First Presidency and the Quorum of the 12, quote, we do not wish incorrect and unsound doctrine to be handed down to posterity under the sanction of great names, to be received and valued by future generations as authentic and reliable, creating labor and difficulties for our successors to perform and to contend with, for which we ought not to transmit to them. The interest of posterity are, to a certain extent, in our hands, close quote. And they continue, errors in history and in doctrine, if left uncorrected by us who are conversant with the events and who are in a position to judge of the truth or falsity of the doctrines, would go down to our children as though we had sanctioned and endorsed them. Such a construction could be put upon our silence respecting them, and would tend to perplex and mislead posterity, and make the labor of correction an exceedingly difficult one for them, close quote. Now we go back to the timeline. 1853, Brother Abel has petitioned Brigham Young to receive his endowment, and that petition is denied. Again, Brother Abel was washed and anointed in the Kirtland Temple, but he was not in Nauvoo at the time that the endowment was instituted, so he could not avail himself of that temple blessing. But he is asking for it now and is being told no. We have conflicting accounts. On the left, we have Zebedee Coltrane, and on the right, we have Joseph F. Smith. And this is 1879. Zebedee Coltrane claims that Abel was dropped from the Quorum of 70 when Joseph Smith Jr. learned that Abel was black. Apostle Joseph F. Smith, he is now an apostle and will later become the president of the church, challenges Coltrane's claim. He, this is Joseph F. Smith, shows two certificates of Abel's reordination to the office of 70. In those days, you had to be recertified, and every so many years, that certification took place. And what Joseph F. Smith did was go to the home of Elijah Abel and ask him about his priesthood, and Brother Abel was able to produce the certificates of recertification indicating that indeed he was yet a member of that Quorum of the 70. And so he took that back to the body asking the question. Accuracy matters.